The largest snowstorm in over a decade is about to bear down on the Carolinas, and some folks are about to see double-digit snowfall while others could be left hung out to dry. This is a nightmare of a forecast in the best possible way. Some communities could see their biggest snow in over 2 decades, while areas just 50 miles away might barely coat the grass. Let me break down exactly who's going to see what. Every single county in North Carolina and South Carolina is now under a winter storm warning. Let that sink in. The entire state of North Carolina, the entire state of South Carolina. Winter weather advisories stretch into South Georgia, Alabama, Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Extreme cold watches and warnings extend all the way down to Lake Okeechobee in Florida. This is the real deal. The snow has already begun. As of this hour, flakes are falling across the Tri-Cities of Tennessee, parts of Virginia, and the mountains of North Carolina. It's only going to intensify from here, and by tomorrow evening, we could be looking at historic totals for some locations. The key to understanding this storm comes down to one meteorological feature: the low-level frontogenesis band. Let me explain what this means for your snowfall totals. When warm air tries to expand into a layer of extremely cold air like we have right now, it creates a zone of enhanced lift in the atmosphere. That rising motion produces intense bands of snow that can dump 2 to 3 inches per hour. Thunder snow is absolutely not out of the question. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. The million-dollar question is, where exactly does that band set up? Whoever gets under it is looking at double-digit snowfall and potentially their biggest snow in 10 to 20 years. Whoever misses it might only see a few inches. The models are in disagreement on exactly where this band pivots through, and that's what makes this forecast so challenging. Let me show you the scenarios. The high-resolution rapid refresh model shows a heavy band of snow setting up from upstate South Carolina through Charlotte and into southeastern North Carolina tomorrow morning. It continues cranking through the afternoon, moving south toward Columbia and the Midlands. However, this model creates a nightmare scenario for Raleigh. You're sandwiched between 2 shields of heavy snow with a gap right over the triangle. One heavy band is over western Carolina, another develops over eastern North Carolina and the Outer Banks, but Raleigh and Fayetteville are stuck in between watching the radar and waiting for it to fill in. On this model, it never really does. The NAM model is much kinder to the triangle. It shows similar banding but eventually fills in the gap, pivoting that frontogenesis feature through Raleigh and giving everyone substantial totals. The European model splits the difference. Pretty good snow for everyone, with half a foot or more from eastern Tennessee through the upstate and Midlands. This uncertainty is exactly why I have to be honest with you. Somebody is going to get the shaft on this one. They're going to go to bed tonight expecting 8 inches and wake up to 2. Meanwhile, someone else who wasn't paying attention is going to be shocked when they open their door to a foot of snow. That's the nature of this storm. Comparing this to the legendary winter of 2013, those of us who remember Winter Storm Nemo and the December 2013 ice storm know what an active, historic winter pattern looks like. The 2012-2013 season was the most active on record. Nemo produced 40 inches in Connecticut, nearly 32 inches in Portland, Maine, about 25 inches in Boston. What's happening in the Carolinas right now has similar historic potential for the areas that end up under that heavy band. Now let me give you my final forecast. This is what I'm going with and I'm not changing it. The storm starts any minute now. Starting in the sweet spots, I am becoming increasingly confident that the corridor between Charlotte and Columbia will see widespread 6 inches or more of snow. Upstate South Carolina has dramatically uptrended over the past few days. If you had asked me Tuesday about Greenville, I would have said maybe a couple inches. Now I think 4 to 8 inches is absolutely on the table. For Charlotte and the immediate metro area, I'm forecasting 4 to 8 inches. This includes Gastonia, Monroe, Shelby, and surrounding communities. This will be the biggest snow many of these areas have seen in over a decade. Moving east toward the coast, the Outer Banks and far eastern North Carolina are looking at the highest totals, potentially 8 to 12 inches or more, with blizzard conditions as winds gust to 60 miles per hour. Cape Hatteras could see absolutely historic accumulations. Columbia, South Carolina is targeting 4 to 8 inches. The Midlands are in a great position with this storm. Greenville and the upstate are looking at 4 to 8 inches as well. a dramatic increase from earlier forecasts. Asheville and the mountains should see 3 to 6 inches, possibly 4 to 8 in the higher elevations. Boone is targeting 4 to 8 inches. Now, for the tricky areas, Raleigh and the Triangle, I have you in the 2 to 5 inch range, acknowledging the very real possibility that the frontogenesis band misses you. This is not ideal for snow lovers, but it's the honest assessment based on how the models are handling that critical feature. Greensboro and the northern Piedmont fall into a similar 2 to 5 inch range. The closer you get to the Virginia line, the trickier this forecast becomes. Fayetteville is targeting 3 to 6 inches, Wilmington 3 to 6 inches, Myrtle Beach 2 to 5 inches. Charleston and the Low Country should see 1 to 3 inches. Any snow there is notable. Augusta and eastern Georgia are looking at 2 to 4 inches. Atlanta could see 1 to 2 inches, possibly more in northern suburbs. For Virginia, this is a close call. Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads are in a tough spot. Some models show significant snow, others show almost nothing. I'm hedging toward 2 to 5 inches for that region, but the uncertainty is high. Richmond and the central Virginia Piedmont are looking at 3 to 6 inches. The Northeast is essentially a dud outside of Cape Cod. I hate to say it, but this has really become a Carolina special. Cape Cod and Nantucket might squeeze out a couple inches with blizzard-like winds, but the big snow stays to the south. If you're north of the Mason-Dixon line, this isn't your storm. The wind component is significant and will create blowing and drifting snow across the entire region. Gusts of 20 to 30 meters will be common through North and South Carolina tomorrow. The Outer Banks will see gusts reaching 50 to 60 meters, likely triggering blizzard warnings. Even if snow stops falling, whatever accumulated will be blowing around, creating whiteout conditions at times. Cape Cod faces 60-plus mph gusts Sunday evening. Combined with a full moon and high tide, beach erosion and coastal flooding are real concerns. The good news about this being a fluffy, powdery snow is that power outages should be minimal. This isn't the wet, heavy stuff that takes down trees and power lines. It's dry, light snow that will pile up quickly but won't stress infrastructure the way last weekend's ice storm did. However, the cold following this storm is absolutely brutal. Sunday morning wind chills will feel like the 20s in Miami, the teens in Orlando, the single digits and below zero readings across the Carolinas. The mountains could see wind chills of -20. Frostbite will be easy to come by with numbers like this. If kids are playing in the snow, bundle them up with layers on layers on layers. Cover exposed skin. Looking ahead, the cold pattern persists through the week. Another shot of Arctic air is possible by late next week. This winter isn't done delivering. The timing breakdown. Snow is already falling in the mountains tonight. It intensifies overnight and reaches Charlotte and the Piedmont by tomorrow morning. The heaviest snow falls tomorrow afternoon through evening as the frontogenesis band pivots through. The Outer Banks see blizzard conditions tomorrow night. Everything winds down by Sunday afternoon, but the brutal cold locks in for days. The bottom line, someone in the Carolinas is about to see their biggest snowstorm in a decade or more. Double-digit totals are absolutely on the table for whoever ends up under that heavy band. The models disagree on exactly where it sets up, which means there will be winners and losers within just miles of each other. Complete your preparations now. Stock up on supplies, charge your devices, and if you're a snow lover in the Carolinas, cross your fingers that the band sets up over your house. This is going to be one for the history books. Stay safe out there.